Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and tonight from Busch Stadium, the giveaway is the 1982 replica championship trophy. Big crowd here tonight, close to 45,000. The Chicago White Sox and the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals have won 6 straight, and the Cardinals have spent 78 days in first place, most in Major League Baseball. With Jim Hayes and Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. Glad to have you along. Interleague play tonight, White Sox in town, and a chance to see one of the top pitchers and lefties in the game. That's Chris Sale.
Yeah, it has not been a good year for the White Sox. They have not hit very well, but Chris Sale certainly can pitch. He averages over 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's gone 7 straight games with 10 or more strikeouts. It's just incredible the way he gets velocity out of that very tall and thin frame.
Tall and thin, but throws hard. Lance Lynn will go for the St. Louis Cardinals. He also a very hard thrower. A lot of righties in the lineup. Not Matt Carpenter, but he could be an all-star.
Scott Rowland from 2003 through 2005, and Joe Torre back-to-back years in the 70s. Matt Carpenter has been an all-star, but he's never been voted to start. This year, he leads the race in the National League with 6.2 million votes. Matt Carpenter, another big offensive year. He is being chased by Todd Frazier, who's playing within the division in Cincinnati. He's just behind him at 6.1 million votes. Cincinnati pushing for Frazier to start in the All-Star game. Time for the Cardinal fans to get out and vote. Voting ends Thursday at 10:59 Central Standard Time. So if you want Matt Carpenter to start in the All-Star game, time to get those votes in.
By Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealers for great prices on our all-new 2015 vehicles today. How about this? A weeknight, the White Sox in town, and before you know it, 45,000 people will be here. Amazing numbers.
Terrific all season long. The Cardinal fans supporting their club, and why wouldn't you? This Cardinal staff particularly has led the way, and Lance Lynn has been a part of that. His 13 starts, 5-4, and Dan, he looked good first time back off the disabled list.
Adam Eaton is at the plate, and the first pitch is hit out of play. You may recall that name with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Eaton was traded over to the White Sox, hit an even 300 last year, which was 10th best in the American League, and led the junior circuit in triples. 0-1 pitch is taken outside. Eaton is hitting .252 with 5 home runs, and he's driven in 14. The White Sox really have struggled offensively this year. Currently as a team batting .240, which is 14th in the American League.
You have to be careful with Adam Eaton. Think Colton Long in a way. Not a guy that looks like a home run hitter, but twice against Detroit he had home runs on get me over fastballs. So he's got some potential power in that leadoff spot.
Robin Ventura, outstanding player in his own right. Now the skipper of the White Sox, 4th year. .253 and .307 his career mark. Here's a 2-2. Nothing too fancy when you talk about Lance Lynn and the Hyundai pitch arsenal. It's fastball after fastball.
Over 81% fastballs, whether the four-seamer or the sinker, and you add the cutter to it, and it gets up to 90%. Really very few breaking pitches from Lance Lynn. He relies on the gas.
2-2 and a strikeout of Eaton to start this brief two-game series. Adam Eaton having words with the home plate umpire Lance Barksdale. And a look at the White Sox lineup with Eaton, then Jose Abreu, Melky Cabrera, switch hitter, Garcia, Gillespie, Ramirez, Flowers, Sanchez, and the pitcher batting ninth. That's Chris Sale. What a find this young man has been. Cuban defector Jose Abreu, 13 home runs. He's driven in 41. One home run shy of 50 for his brief major league career. Batted second in the lineup for the first time in his career on Sunday against Detroit. They're trying any kind of combination of players to get things going.
Just not scoring runs, and particularly they're not scoring runs for Chris Sale. As dominant as he's been his last 7 starts, the White Sox have only won 3 of them. They can't waste a guy that's one of the American League's best right now, but that's what they've been doing.
White Sox are 10 games below the 500 mark. They have the fewest wins in the American League with 32. And it's 3 balls and no strikes. The Cardinals are 50-24. First team since the 05 White Sox to win 50 games in fewer than 75 total games played. That 05 team for the Chicago White Sox, the Cardinals 51-24. And that White Sox team won the World Series. So the Cardinals quickest to 50. They have 51 wins overall. Here's a look at Pete Kozma. There is one lefty in this lineup because of Chris Sale. So right-handed lineup, Grichuk in left, Borges in center, Hayward the lone lefty. Then Reynolds, Peralta, Kozma, and Scruggs along the infield, Molina behind the plate. Switch hitting Melky Cabrera is batting .255, pair of home runs and 26 RBIs. And a fly ball lifted out to deep left center field. Plenty of room though for Peter Borges. He puts it away. And a 1-2-3 inning for Lance Lynn. One of the top lefties in the game. Chris Sale to the mound when we come back. Third best in the National League. This is this right-handed lineup with the exception of Jason Hayward. So Borges, Grichuk, and Peralta here at the bottom of the first, followed by Reynolds, Hayward, Molina, Scruggs, Kozma, and the pitcher Lance Lynn. Chris Sale 6-4, and as Rick mentioned, Those numbers don't indicate just how good he has been. 6-4 the record, but every time out he has a chance to do something dazzling.
Well, when you're talking about 12 strikeouts per 9 innings, that's an entirely different league than anybody else we're used to seeing. This is a guy that knows how to put people away. He's using his slider more as the season has progressed, but again, you think of that as more of a lefty on lefty pitch. Throws in the mid-90s, and as you mentioned, Jason Hayward, the only left-hander in the Cardinals lineup. We'll see that slider against him, I'm sure.
0-1 pitch, and Borges pops it up. Second baseman Carlos Sanchez. Hyundai pitch arsenal for the lefty Chris Sale.
Well, he's 6'6", and the media guide says he's 180. I don't know if he's still 180 or not, but he's a tall, thin guy, but throws very hard, throws a lot of four-seamers, has a good changeup. They'll use that about 30% of the time. Again, the slider overall at 16%, but it's been more over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
In steps the left fielder Randall Grichuk.
I bet Tom Herr would find a way to get on base against Chris Sale, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Just had a nice visit from Tom up here in the booth.
1 out and nobody on. Fastball in there for a strike at 95.
Down on the field throwing out the first pitch, part of that celebration of the 85 team. And nice to have him drop in and say hello.
Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. As you talked about, Sale consistently around 94, 95. But when he needs to reach back and let one loose, he can get to 98 to 99.
He's a finisher. Whatever it takes. And he just finished Randall Grichuk.
2 outs, nobody on. In steps Johnny Peralta. The defense behind Sale with Cabrera in left, Eaton in center, Garcia in right. Gillespie, Ramirez, Sanchez, Abreu along the infield. Flowers is behind the plate. Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's defense. This is career start number 100 for Chris Sale. Could be historic. Trying to record 10 strikeouts or more in 8 consecutive games. The only man that has done that, Pedro Martinez. 10+ strikeouts in 7 straight. Been done by Pedro, Nolan Ryan, and Randy Johnson. And this tough lefty, Chris Sale, 0-2.
You'd have thought that would have happened sometime in those dominant pitching eras in the late 60s especially. And of course a guy like Gibson or Drysdale, they had a lot of 10 strikeout games, but not as much as what we've seen from Sale this year.
BJC Healthcare difference maker. 10 or more strikeouts since 1914 in the consecutive games. Amazing numbers here for Chris Sale. And oh, by the way, he is a very fast worker. One of the fastest workers in the game today. They rave about that in terms of what that does for his defense behind him. They want to elevate, gets it there, and it's taken for a ball. 1-2 on Peralta.
You know, I think there is something to helping out your defense by working quickly, but I think even more important than that, you help out yourself by working quickly. You got a better idea of the target. You're not taking too much time in between pitches. You get in a better groove that way.
Picked by Abreu on the throw, low from Connor Gillespie. 1 strikeout this inning of Randall Grichuk. There's no score as Chris Sale was dominant there in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, the Cardinal hitting coaches saw one inning of Chris Sale and they said, hey, let's go back to the drawing board. We're going to go back in and try to figure out how to hit this guy. And then I think they went into the stands and got some nachos and some snacks. No, wait a minute. That's not the Cardinal hitting coaches,
no,
John Mabry and Bill Miller. But interesting that those two came together as Cardinal hitting coaches. I like that. That's a family that enjoys the offensive side of the game,
I would say.
I wonder if we're going to see a Lilliquist and Ilsley combination before the year's over.
Garcia hits it out of play. No balls at 2 strikes. He was picked up from Boston via Detroit. A 3-team deal. Jake Peavy was in that deal. Jose Iglesias, some pretty big names. Now Garcia batting cleanup for this lineup. Ground ball in the hole, backhanded by Peralta, and safe at first. We turn to Rick Horton's Toyota keys to the game.
Well, key number 1 for the Cardinals here in game 1 of this short series is to get into the bullpen of the White Sox, which means Sale is out of there. Now, however you do that, and I think one of the ways you do that is Lance Lynn puts up enough zeros that maybe you have to pinch hit for Sale at some point, but get into the bullpen because Sale is just tough to get to, and control the best hitters for the White Sox. Garcia, one of them, who just had the infield hit, but especially Abreu in that second spot. You want to make sure that the guys who are their best don't hurt you.
Safe or out, and clearly safe. So an infield hit for Garcia. Connor Gillespie is batting .242, third baseman for the White Sox.
Saw the Cardinal front office scout. He's had a lot of positions. He's an assistant to the general manager. He's been around the game. He used to manage the Cardinals, in fact, in an interim basis. Mike Jorgensen. He told me about Garcia. He said when you watch him play, the first thing you will underestimate is his speed. He's faster than you think he would be, and he just showed it right there.
Gillespie with 3 home runs. He's driven in 15. White Sox are at the bottom of the American League in homers this season with just 54.
Cardinals with 61 by comparison.
And a line drive, base hit into left field. Back-to-back singles for Chicago. Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks.
Gillespie just went the other way with a pitch that really was a good location, good sink on it as well from Lance Lynn. Trying to get a ground ball, and really that's the kind of pitch that you get ground balls with often.
Alexi Ramirez, shortstop, hitting just .216.
Better player than that.
Last year was the Silver Slugger Award winner, finalist for the Gold Glove, and he has not played well on either end, offense or defense, this year. Fastball and a strike. Really a durable player too. 156 games back in 2010. He's played in at least 158 the last 4 seasons. A .216 average for a .273 career hitter. One ball, one strike.
And Ramirez at 33 is kind of at that age where you start to wonder, are the skills starting to deteriorate? Of course, he's going to fight that, as he should, and try to work his way out of it. But it's a natural question.
Well, Lance Lynn has faced the White Sox before. That was back in June of 2012. Faced Jake Peavy. He had 12 strikeouts in that game and 7 1/3. And as Rick mentioned, coming off 6 shutout innings against the Marlins last Thursday. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That was such an important start for him too, Dan. Think about him being off for a couple of weeks on the disabled list. What's he going to be like when he comes back? Is he going to be able to jump right into this great thing that Derek Lilliquist has going on with these starting pitchers, or is he going to kind of drop back a tick or two in terms of his command? But he was very, very good, and it was good to have him back.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. Broken bat. Reynolds to second and dropped by Cosma. Everybody is safe on a tailor-made double play. This is where the White Sox have struggled immensely this year with runners in scoring position. As you get a look at Reynolds to Cosma, and a good feed too.
Well, it was right there. It was about belt high, and Pete's just trying to be as quick as you possibly can, but he was a little too quick. And in his desire to turn two, the Cardinals don't get an out in what could have been a big pitch in this inning. Well, it's still a big pitch in this inning. Unfortunately, it's now a big opportunity for Chicago.
Last 10 games, the White Sox hitting .201 with runners in scoring position. Tyler Flowers, their catcher, hitting just .211 this year. Bases are loaded. Flowers came over from the Atlanta Braves. The Javier Vasquez deal of 2008. Oh, 1 pitch. Blew it right by him. 0-2. This catcher popped 15 home runs a year ago. Jammed him, and a strikeout for Lynn, his second tonight.
He gets tied up on this fastball in, and you got to believe that if Chicago watched any video on Lance Lynn, and you know they did, that they're looking fastball against him. They know those tendencies. And if the Cardinals were watching video, by the way, on Chris Sale, I hope they didn't watch too much of it, because all they saw was one strikeout after another, and that can get a little disheartening. In my mind, video is good, but you don't want to kind of watch so much of it that all of a sudden you're giving too much credit to the other guy.
Sale is on deck. Bases remain loaded. Now 1 down. 8th place hitter Carlos Sanchez, light hitting second baseman, batting just .164 this year. No home runs, and he's driven in 9. Oh, 2. You think about momentum shifts in the game of baseball, not talked about all that much, but this could be a huge one, because Chris Sale may need only 1 run to win this game.
Exactly. You can't give away runs against Chris Sale. Cardinals in danger of doing that now, and Lance Lynn needs to get another ground ball double play.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Lynn had back-to-back starts about a month ago. Similar spot, bases loaded, nobody out. Twice was able to pitch out of it. He told me his approach in those spots: can't think double play, don't think strikeout, think pitch to pitch.
It's really the way you have to pitch, and you and I have had this discussion many times. I'm not a big fan of the pitch to contact question or comment. I think it implies that you're actually pitching it and trying to let him hit it, which a pitcher can never do. You're letting him hit it. You're kind of, I guess I'd say, you're not against them hitting it, but that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to strike them out. And if they can just barely get the ball in play, then you've done your job and you get that double play.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Inning started with an infield hit for Garcia. Gillespie a single to left. Ramirez reached on an error. Strikeout of Flowers. And now a 1-2 pitch. Little chopper up the middle. Peralta takes it himself. Lit out of the jam. Pumps his fist in the air. And the White Sox waste a golden early opportunity here in Game 1. Let's check in for the first time tonight with Jim Hayes.
Dan, it's pretty obvious that Matt Holliday is making good progress as he attempts to come back from his quad strain. Matt is taking BP and he's moving around with apparent ease. The next step for Holliday would be trying to run. Mike Matheny telling me today Matt won't run on it until the doctors clear him to do so, and there's still no timetable for that. Holliday told me it'll be a process. Once he gets a green light from the team medical staff, he'll start with a light jog and pick up the intensity once he knows the quad is holding up. Matt wants to play, Dan, but he's going to be careful. He doesn't want to do anything to set him back whatsoever.
And a base hit from Mark Reynolds. Thank you, Jimmy, to start the bottom of the second. Interesting to see Mike Matheny on that phone down there in the dugout.
Really didn't see any action in the Cardinals bullpen or anyone on the phone there, so maybe Mike's just returning his phone calls for the week.
Here's Jason Hayward, who's batting .278. Runner at first and nobody out for Jason Hayward, who made a tremendous catch this Sunday night game. If you're wondering, by the way, Chris Sale has a tremendous move.
That's not fair.
So you get on and then he picks you off. He's got the ability to do that. Hayward lines it into center field, and backing up to make the catch, Adam Eaton. You wonder if the Cardinals will be aggressive against Sale. Now he keeps runners close, good pickoff move, but you look at the catcher, Tyler Flowers, and he's had 34 attempts against him. He has caught just 3.
Well, you think about hit and run possibilities too, and with a guy like Molina, that's certainly kind of his strong suit, putting the ball in play, putting it on the ground somewhere. You may have to manufacture a run against Sale.
That pitch inside to Yadier Molina. He's batting .293. A pair of home runs, and he's driven in 26. Cardinals playing in game number 76 here this evening. Closing in on the midway point of this 2015 campaign. Cardinals have talked about not looking back to a sweep over Chicago or looking ahead to a road trip, which could be tough against Chicago and Pittsburgh, but day by day. And they point to the Milwaukee Brewers of a year ago, the first to 50 wins and then finished up 82-80.
That's why players like to talk about they just keep pushing every day. You can't get so wrapped up in kind of who you are right now, because you might not end up being who you want to be at the end of the season. All about continuous improvement. Those two guys keep getting better and better every day, don't they?
How good is Carlos Martinez? And when healthy, how good is Jaime Garcia?
Exactly. Fun to watch both of them.
Pitching at the Cardinals has been remarkable. 2.61 ERA coming into play tonight. And a fastball at 96, and Molina strikes out. 6 is a serious number at on the run. When the Cardinals score 6, any size drink is just 50 cents the next day. Coffee, fountain, or frozen drink. When they score, you pour. At your nearest on the run, you earned it. Second strikeout for Chris Sale, and it brings in Xavier Scruggs. Had a nice conversation with Matt Adams down on the field before play tonight. Feeling good, recovering. He says there's still an outside chance that he could return at some point this year. He's dropped 10 or 15 pounds. And he said after he had surgery, he lost the appetite. And he said he's just begun to work out, do different things, non-baseball related. That pitch at 95, and it's 0-2.
I think you go through phases when you're a player on the disabled list, especially when you're on it for an extended period of time. the first thing you really don't want to watch it, talk about it, think about it, because it just reminds you of kind of the pain of not being able to play, and you miss it, frankly.
He said he's seen in the first month of being out 1 game. He said, I watch the games here at Busch Stadium. He said it's very hard for me to watch because I want to be out there so badly.
Exactly. And then you come back to it.
Scruggs. Strikeout number 3 for Chris Sale. Cardinals strand a runner, and there's no score.
Slider, first pitch at 75 miles an hour to Scruggs. Now you got to get timed up on that fastball at 95 plus. Didn't happen. Then he throws one in the 80s. So one in the 70s, 90s, and 80s to finish off the Cardinal first baseman. He has plus stuff, and no denying that.
13th overall pick back in 2010. Average pitch velocity for Chris Sale. And he hits that out of play. Finalist for both the American League Cy Young Award last year and the Players' Choice Outstanding Pitcher Award. Corey Kluber won that award for Cleveland. No balls, 2 strikes. Lynn is struck out 2 and pitched out of a bases loaded jam back in the 2nd inning. As a freshman in high school, Chris Sale was 5'8" and barely over 100 pounds. And here he is throwing mid-90s and nasty stuff in the major leagues. Lined over the head of Johnny Peralta. Broken bat single for Chris Sale.
Vince Fresso is one of the clubhouse managers for the Chicago White Sox, and he was trying to find equipment for Chris Sale, and he said, I hate it that pitchers have to hit in this league. And Vince goes way back to the 80s when I was with the White Sox, and he found him a batting glove and a bat, and I guess Sale knew what to do with it.
First major league hit for Chris Sale. Now it's back to the top of the lineup and Adam Eaton. There's no doubt when you come to a National League park, the American League team's at a big disadvantage.
And they're frustrated by it. It's interesting to actually get that up close. And I mean, it's kind of like You know, we have to do. I mean, they know they have to do it. It's not a big surprise when they come to the ballpark and they realize, wait a minute, our pitchers have to hit. But it's just not in their normal routine of things.
Well, it's twofold. You lose a DH,
yeah,
and your pitcher has got to hit, something he's not used to doing.
And he also has to run the bases. When's the last time he did that? And I think even a bigger factor with a guy like Chris Sale, you've got a 0-0 game in the 6th inning, and he's coming up. What do you do with a runner at second base? I mean, you're forced to maybe take him out of a game earlier than you want to.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Adam Eaton. He's called out on strikes on a pitch that just caught the outside corner. And Eaton had words with the home plate umpire. About 3 pitches before that, it was called a ball. Here's a 1-2. John Lackey, Jose Quintana going tomorrow in game 2 of this series. And then the San Diego Padres will be here for 4 beginning on Thursday night. About a 2-step lead for Chris Sale. That pitch popped up. Reynolds will give it a look, and it's out of play.
Looking ahead, Dan, I'm not sure the Padres are a team that really know who they are yet. I mean, that's a team that's certainly better than they were a year ago, but they've changed managers. Now they're trying to figure out, are they good or aren't they? And I just don't think they know yet. So it'll be interesting to host them here in St. Louis and get our first look at them, the new look Padres.
37-41 their record. That pitch outside. They begin play tonight 6 games back of the Dodgers. The Cardinals with a 9-game lead over Pittsburgh, 11.5 in front of Chicago. Amazing. 2-2. Washington leads by 2.5 in front of New York in the National League East. American League East, Baltimore and Tampa Bay are tied. Kansas City with a 5.5 game lead in the AL Central. American League West, it's Houston over Los Angeles by 4 games. Good battle here.
In some perspective, you talked about mentioning the American League East. Boston is in last place in the East, and they're only 7 games out. So you say, wow, they're having a rough season. Maybe they've got no chance, but that's closer to the top than where the Pittsburgh Pirates are right now.
Cardinals have played tremendous baseball here at home. 22 games above 500 here at Busch Stadium. They are 29-7 this year at home. And they played well within the division too. That's always a factor. They're 14 games above 500 within their own division.
Good battle going on here between Eaton and Lance Lynn. Who's going to give in?
Pitch number 10 of the at bat. Hit out of play again. These are the kind of at bats, even if Eaton strikes out, grounds out, hits into a double play, whatever the case may be. But you look back at the night, you say this is the one that Lance Lynn had to grind through, and it maybe cost you an inning later in the game of going back out there.
They drive you crazy from a pitcher's point of view, and it's even worse if you don't get them out.
Off the mask of Molina, he says he's fine, and it's another 3-2 pitch upcoming.
Had an at bat once with Tony Gwynn like this, and I was tempted after pitch 11 or 12, just throw it underhand. Here, do something. Here it is. Put it in play somewhere. Let's just get this over with. Frustration just keeps building.
3-2.
And it's going to build some more.
Even watching the reactions here, last couple of pitches from Lance Lynn, having that same kind of feeling I think that you had with Tony Gwynn. Just do something.
Yeah, he's not facing Tony Gwynn right now. That's the good news. But it's worse on a pitcher than it is a hitter. The hitter takes all those swings. You know, that's going to wear you out a little bit. But the pitcher's only got so many bullets in a given day. And as that pitch count starts to elevate a little bit, especially early, you start to maybe even change the way you attack hitters.
Cardinals pitching staff only allowing just over 8 hits per 9. It's astonishing some of the numbers that this staff has put together thus far. Ground ball, Kozma. And they get eaten. They do not get the lead man, Sale. Krispy Kreme doesn't deal. If your Cardinals get 9 hits today, you're invited into Krispy Kreme tomorrow. Receive a dozen of their original glazed donuts for only $3.99. Stop by one of the 4 area Krispy Kreme locations for this sensational deal. See right now, Pete Kozma fighting it a little bit at second base.
Yeah, he's been so comfortable at shortstop, and you'd think, well, it's still just an infield position. What's the difference? And you know, not unusual for a player to do a better job of getting the right hop at one position versus another. I think Pete Kozma plays a good third base too. Colton Wong getting the night off again. One of those left-handers that's on the bench for Mike Matheny.
Unfortunately for Pete, he did not get the lead man. That could prove costly here with an RBI man at the plate in Abreu. Fastball taken low, 1-1. Abreu grounded out to Kozma, first time up. Good numbers with runners in scoring position, the best on this White Sox team.
Well, I haven't seen Chris Sale run, and I'm not sure that Joe McEwing has seen him run either, the third base coach, enough to know to send him or not.
2-1.
McEwing, a former Cardinal player, he had such a nice year under Joe Torre here as a Cardinal, and he was one of the finalists for the Cardinals managing job that went to Mike Matheny. He was on that short list.
Super Joe McEwing.
Highly thought of. Good man.
The 2-1 pitch. Up the middle. Off the back into center field. And Sale will score, and it's 1-0 White Sox. Maybe that's what they needed, a little luck. Abreu just said thank you. 1-0 Chicago. I think Lynn may have gotten a piece of that baseball as well.
Well, the ball's not bouncing Pete Kozma's way in the early going. He's made an error, was not able to get the lead runner, and then he's getting ready to field that ball, and it disappears on him. I mean, there's nothing he can do about it. And that's the kind of ball that even Chris Sale, a pitcher, is going to score on when the ball gets deflected into short center field. So a bad break for St. Louis, but it's a break that could have been avoided had Pete gotten the lead runner.
Melky Cabrera flied out to center field, and Peter Borges first time up. 1-0 White Sox as we play here in the top of the third. Pittsburgh, by the way, they're in the top of the 6th. They have Detroit tonight. They lead 3-1. In the bottom of the 7th, the Cubs lead the Mets 1-0. That's driven out to right center field. Taken there by Borges. And there's 2 down. Fox Sports Midwest and the Cardinals bring you Mizzou night at the ballpark. July 17th, the Cardinals battle the New York Mets. Buy your Mizzou themed tickets at cardinals.com/theme. You'll get a limited edition Cardinals hat. Get your tickets, wear your black and gold. We'll see you at Mizzou night on July 17th. Here's Garcia with 2 outs. Molina setting up way outside. Garcia bounced it to shortstop first time up in the hole. Was taken there by Peralta. He beat it out for an infield hit. Two and 0. Cardinals staff has allowed the fewest runs on average in their games through 75 games of this season since the 1972 Baltimore Orioles. So far back you have to go. 2-1. Outfield is deep. They're straight away.
So interesting the way rosters were constructed years ago. There were pitchers that were expected to go 8 or 9 innings out of the starting rotation, and you only had 4 or 5 guys in your bullpen, and you had a deeper bench. Look at the Cardinals ERA, 2.61, way better than the National League average. But pitchers now, Dan, if you go 7 innings, you've done your job, because there's so many arms in the bullpen, specialized arms coming in throwing 95. They've made pitching just almost impossible to dominate, and the Cardinals have been on top of that list in 2015.
Strikeout of Garcia, 1-0 Chicago. The All-Star Game ballot now at Cardinals.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Cardinals.com/vote. Matt Carpenter trying to hold on, as you told us just before our first pitch at third base.
Yeah, running out of time to get the extra votes in for Matt Carpenter, so Todd Frazier isn't the starting third baseman in the All-Star Game. Of course, the Reds are pumping Todd Frazier, and he is having a good year, but it'd be nice to have Matt Carpenter start his first All-Star Game. Very deserving.
Cosma, season high 3 hits, which snapped an 0 for 21 in Miami. And now his first start since that ball game, in which he started at shortstop. Sale has struck out 3 tonight. He's allowed 1 base hit. That was Mark Reynolds. A single to center. He's talking with Steve Stone, the former Cubs analyst and now working for the Chicago White Sox, and he said there are right-handed batters that say when Sale throws like he did the previous pitch, that slider, it's as if it's coming from the second baseman, because he'll drop down.
Right.
He starts there. He's long, he's lanky, and a right-hander will give up on that pitch, and it turns out to be a backdoor slider.
So interesting to notice the difference between their Steve Stone on the left, Hawk Harrelson on the right, longtime broadcaster for the White Sox. Interesting that Sale and Lance Lynn, both very tall pitchers, very, very different deliveries.
He gone.
That was Hawk.
That was.
Oh, I wasn't sure if that was you or Hawk. He's been saying he's gone a lot this year. And it's pitches like this. That's the slider, the devastating slider coming from second base.
The White Sox, it'll be interesting to see what happens now in the next, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks. They went out and got Samardzija. Adam LaRoche signed a 2-year deal.
Robertson is their closer.
Right. I mean, they made big moves.
They did.
It's been a disappointing start at 32 and 42. It's Jeff Samardzija, free agent to be. But you hold out hope because of the wild card. I mean, the wild card keeps many teams alive and with hope.
So you manufacture with the wild card and the second wild card, you have more buyers and less sellers, and we know what that does to the market. And deals are getting very, very difficult to come by.
5 strikeouts tonight, 4 in a row for Sale. In steps Peter Borges. A nice night here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis.
As you mentioned, Dan, packed house again.
One of our good friends works at KMOX, Ben Boyd. He and his wife just had a brand new baby, Duncan Emmanuel Boyd. They're calling him Manny, born at 6'14", 8.5 pounds, 21.5 inches at Missouri Baptist. So congratulations to Brenda, Ben, and our newest Cardinal fan, Manny. Everybody's healthy and doing great.
Congratulations. That's outstanding.
Ben Boyd, a tremendous producer in the local radio scene at KMOX and works with the Cardinals radio network. You won't find a nicer guy. So congratulations to Ben Boyd. 0-2 pitch. Sale is trying to strike out the side here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And he does. Strikes out the side. That's now 5 in a row. 6 total tonight through 3. Take on the Padres. That's Saturday, this Saturday, the 4th of July. 25,000 fans ages 16 and older receive a camo print adult jersey presented by Ford. Lots of good seats, by the way, for both Saturday and Sunday. We talk about these huge crowds, and we get fans asking us all the time, well, can we get seats? Yeah, there are very good seats, especially for Saturday and Sunday this weekend against the San Diego Padres. Connor Gillespie, Alexi Ramirez, and Tyler Flowers. There's a look at Tommy Hearn. What a second baseman he was here in St. Louis.
Dan, we were talking last week about all the Cardinals that don't live in town, and the ones that people would love to see again and they love to have back at the ballpark. And Tom Herr is a name that comes up a lot. Very popular player for the Cardinals in the 80s, really a leader.
Reynolds over and just shy of the dugout wall and stairs. Tommy Herr, 110 RBIs one season.
Slick fielder, and when he was a young player, what people didn't really know about Tom Herr at the big league level, as we look at Reynolds' attempt on the slide, is when Tom was a minor league player, he could flat out fly, and then he hurt his knee and wasn't able to run. He still could steal bases, but he didn't have the blazing speed anymore. But he was on a team where, well, a lot of other guys did, and he was an important part of that club.
Tom Herr, part of our 1985 celebration all season long. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I'm sure next year we'll be celebrating the 10th year and the anniversary of the 06 team. That seems like yesterday.
It sure does.
Man. Gillespie here. Single to left his first time up. Count of 2 balls, 2 strikes, and he hits it out of play. Boy, these White Sox are battling Lance Lynn here early on, aren't they?
61 pitches through 3 for Lance, and he can thank Adam Eaton for a lot of those.
The 2-2. You look at the Cardinals staff, and they have 2 or 3 that could be number 1s on other teams easily. And there's one of them right there who's starting to come into his own, and that's Carlos Martinez.
He'd be a young number 1, and so would he. But
Michael
they could
Walker.
be. Their numbers indicate they're pitching like number 1.
There's a base hit into right field. Gillespie is 2 for 2.
Elevated a bit from Lance Lynn, and I think what Lance has to make sure he doesn't kind of fall into, and I wouldn't expect that he would try to match Chris Sale. You don't go out there if you're Lance Lynn and say, well, I'm going to see if I can strike out 5 guys in a row. As you mentioned, what Lance told you, just make good pitches. Don't worry too much about results.
Ramirez reached on an error. First time up, what would have been a tailor-made double play, and it was dropped by Cosma. He's had a tough night defensively. First pitch is strike.
You think it's true, Dan, being around athletes at this level as we are day in and day out, that they don't, do they want to win? Yes. But what they really care about is elite performance, and that produces wins.
All these guys, the worst major league player, dominated all the way through his career, somewhere high school, college, minor leagues. And how do they get to that elite level? And a lot of it is between the ears.
No question about that.
The mental toughness of this game is so hard.
And you know, that kind of comes and goes too. I actually think you can have mental slumps in this game. We talk about physical slumps all the time, but I would say slumps are probably more often than not mentally related.
I've talked to Mike Matheny, and he said, I wish I could have relaxed and enjoyed my playing career more than I did. He said, but it just wasn't in my DNA.
Wasn't going to happen.
No. And there were players that went to Mike when he was playing because away from the field, different guy. Not the scowl, not as intense.
There were friends that went to Mike and said that. And you're talking to one of them.
Right.
And he said, I can't do it. I don't want to give in 1 inch because I'm afraid where that may go. I have to keep pushing till it's over. And he did, to his credit.
He used to talk about the fear of being released. Remember, before he got to St. Louis, he was released twice. He said, I just didn't know if I was going to have a job. I couldn't let up.
Second time's not as bad as the first. The third time, they don't even bother to call you. You just find out you don't have a job, and you're kind of the last one to know. It's kind of how it works.
It's been a trend in Major League Baseball to see ownership groups and front offices go to men with no managerial experience, and we've seen that here tonight with both Robin Ventura and Mike Matheny. Actually did some college baseball games with Robin Ventura as my analyst. And I asked him then, I said, well, what are you going to do? And this was basically right after he got done playing. He said, I don't know. I really don't have any feelings one way or another about coaching or managing. And next thing I knew, they hired him. Good pitch in on the hands of Alexi Ramirez, and that's strikeout number 4. We talked about the Cardinals' numbers here at home, remarkable. And St. Louis trying to pick up their 30th home win this evening. Last 5 teams with 30 or more wins in their first 37 home games. That 98 Yankees team considered one of the best all time.
Cardinals have only lost 1 series at home, and it just doesn't show any signs of letting up. How this team is playing, they just keep pushing.
Here is Flowers.
And what I like too, Dan, is it's a team that has learned early that they can rely on each other, number 1, and they have the ability to come back, number 2. That's what good teams do.
0-1 pitch. Cardinals have 7 wins this year. Talking about comebacks, trailing in the 8th inning or later. 7 wins. There are some teams that won't put that up for an entire year. Greg Garcia, his big home run on Friday night against the Chicago Cubs. What a moment that was.
Oh, amazing. So much fun to watch the emotion that he showed, almost apologetically talking to you after the game on the interview, but I don't think anybody,
I loved it.
Anybody mind.
What are you seeing with Lynn? Release point here? Is there an issue with him with the strike zone?
Well, he's pulling some balls across the plate, and he's especially doing that with his breaking ball. And so, yeah, I'd say that's a release point issue. But he's not way out of whack. I wouldn't say that.
Wouldn't think he'd go very deep into this game. He's already had 77 pitches with only 1 out recorded here in the 4th. Also want to wish congratulations to Hockey Hall of Famer Chris Pronger, former St. Louis Blue, lives here in St. Louis and now selected for the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's a big Cardinal fan. His kids are.
And he wasn't too busy to show up for the Pujols Family Foundation golf tournament yesterday, which also had Matt Holliday and Matt Leslie were the hosts of the Pujols tournament. Didi Pujols was back for it as well, but Chris Pronger on hand, Tony La Russa, Red Schoendienst, there were Hall of Famers all over the place.
They want to start the runner. They do on 3-2. The bat is lost, and that's a foul ball. That bat going flying over the dugout of the White Sox, and that gentleman has a souvenir.
Wow, he made a great catch of that bat too, because his head was turned away and he caught it on the backhand. Caught the bat almost behind him.
Runner at first is Gillespie, and a ground ball up the middle, base hit. So Flowers is 1 for 2. Isn't it funny, Rick, how baseball has a way of evening up? You think about the 2nd inning for Lance Lynn. Flowers was up with the bases loaded, nobody out. He struck out. Then Sanchez bounces into a double play. Bases loaded, nobody out. They don't score. And then you look at the 3rd, and it's a ball that goes off the bag at 2nd that scores a run. And the man running is the pitcher.
Well, you can't script the game of baseball. You can expect certain things to happen when you look at the lineups each day. But, you know, that's the fun part of it, though, to me, Dan, is, you know, Chris Sale might strike out 20. on a given night. You might see that. Or Cardinals might get to him. I mean, think about the Cardinals and Kershaw. That's kind of what this battle is like today is, can you find a way to get to him or not?
Here's a 1-1. Jammed him, popped up. Infield fly, and the catch made by Mark Reynolds for out number 2.
Lynn has made a number of good pitches, including this one, in on the fists of Sanchez. But at this point, Dan, I'm agreeing with you. It's hard to imagine him going past 5 innings. Where he is pitch count now, and it's a pretty humid night here at Busch Stadium. The temperature's not so bad, but it's pretty humid.
You're also talking about just his second start back from the DL. It was Chris Sale, and Scruggs, nice play with the backhand, flips to Lynn, takes a hit and an RBI away. Xavier Scruggs robbing Chris Sale. We're midway through 4. The Cardinals have Bridget, Peralta, Reynolds coming up. Has shut the door against the Cardinals. He has struck out 6, including 5 in a row. AT&T U-verse rewind. Chris Sale, 6'6", 186 is what he's listed at as you get a look at the strikeout leaders. They say he's one of the biggest eaters on the team. This is hereditary. Seriously.
Oh, my. Well, I saw 180 in the media guide. There are times where the very first day you sign, they ask you how much you weigh, and that's how much you weigh for the next 20 years. They don't ask you again. And I thought, well, maybe he's filled out, but evidently not. By the way, Dan, the hardest thrower on the field right now is Chris Sale. The hardest left-handed thrower in the booth right now is, I know you want to say me.
I do.
But it's Ray King, who's behind us. Come up to say hello.
There he is. It's seen him forever.
How about that? So many good years out of that Cardinals bullpen for Tony La Russa.
You bet. Here's Randall Grichuk.
I think we got a guy named Wainwright in that trade too.
Grichuk, a long one. Deep left. How far? Big Macklin. Yes! Up and game is tied.
When you're a young player in the big leagues, this is one of those home runs you call home and brag about. Not that easy to get Chris Sale, and not that easy to hit a ball as far as Randal Grichuk just did.
The pitch seemed awfully low, too. Inside to Peralta. 1 ball, 1 strike, and a 1-1 game. Just the 8th home run allowed by Sale.
I like the fact that John Mabry got the debrief from Randal Grichuk, too. What were you looking for? What did it look like? And then, because the idea is, how can we extend that knowledge somewhere else? I don't know too many businesses that exist where people say, boy, we'd be a lot better if we just communicated a little bit more. Baseball's certainly one of those businesses. Grichuk just did something special. 97.5 miles an hour off the bat. Share the wealth.
Popped up off the bat of Johnny Peralta for the first out. So Grichuk now with 7 home runs and 21 RBIs.
He did go down to get that. That was probably just above the knee. But that's where it ended up. That is a big fly.
Now it's Reynolds, and a slider taken low. Single to center first time up. Mentioned the weight of Sale. It's hereditary. His grandfather was a championship swimmer, and he had that long, lanky body at 6'3". His nickname was Streamline. And that was given to him by Joker Marchant. His name sits on the Tigers spring training facility. And a foul ball. 2-2. When Holiday comes back, it's a great problem to have for Mike Matheny. And we know Holiday is inching closer, as Jim reported earlier. But you think about Randal Grichuk, and how do you sit this young man with the power potential that he brings this lineup?
Well, the old adage in baseball is you never have enough pitching, but you never have enough power hitters either. And you've got guys that are hitting well. You add another one to the mix, find a place for them, find a rotation that works, and kind of worry about the playing time issue later. And when you're on a team that is focused on winning, I think that's easier to do. You've got a guy coming back to play his position on a lower division team. I think you have a little more internal tension, but I don't think this Cardinal team is known for that.
A 3-2. Strikeout of Reynolds, 7 tonight for Chris Sale.
Mark Reynolds has tried to develop a bit of a 2-strike approach. He tried to be short with that and go the other way, but the ball just kept elevating out of the zone. And once he started, he couldn't stop. Would have been a ball, certainly, but easy to see that from here and easy to say that from here. Very tough to lay off.
Hayward has hit safely in 9 of his last 10. Lined out to center field first time up. Also in the last 10 games, the 4 home runs. He's driven in 10. I was talking with him the other day in Miami, and he said it's not so much what he's done in terms of how he stands at the plate, how he grips the bat, but it's all about timing. That's up and in. He said you only, when you think about it, during a week, you only get a handful of swings in which the pitcher makes a mistake. That's what he's done against lefties. And if your timing is off and you miss those pitches, it becomes really hard to hit. As he draws a walk with 2 outs here in the 4th inning. Molina struck out swinging his first time up. Seeing the power numbers on the rise here the last couple of weeks from Molina with a pair of home runs. He's now up to 26 RBIs. And a ground ball that's hit to short as Molina slams his bat. Ramirez flips to Sanchez. Randal Grichuk has tied this game up. 1 swing of the bat. This is home run number 7. And he gets number 7 off one of the best pitchers in the game. 1-1. For the White Sox. A warm evening here at Busch Stadium. Eaton has been called out on strikes. And a key play in this game was a runner at first base, Eaton at the plate. That runner was Chris Sale. Mishandled just a bit by Cosma, did not get the leadoff man, or rather the lead runner. And they did get the leadoff man, Eaton. And that led to the first run in this game for the RBI by Abreu. I think when you talk to Lance Lynn after this start, he's going to say this was work. This was grinding
no
through 5 or maybe 6.
He's grinding, that's for sure.
And the 3-0. 3-1. Lynn has struck out 4. He's allowed 6 base hits. The White Sox have stranded 5 tonight. Three and 2. Held on to by Molina from 3-0 to the strikeout of Adam Eaton. Let's check in with Jimmy Hayes.
Dan, Matt Belisle goes on the 15-day DL with What the cards say is right elbow inflammation. Matt says it's really more around the forearm area. He says it came out of nowhere, started getting tight Sunday night during a flight back from Florida. He said he tried resting it, then tried throwing again, and there was just no range of motion. Belial says the Cards medical staff says there's no structural issues. He says the plan for now, wait it out, wait for the swelling to go down, then let the team doctors reassess. Belial says he hates being on the DL, but for the good of the team, he felt like he had no other choice but to go along with it, Dan.
And Marcus Hadley was brought up. We saw him in spring training, and when he gets into a game, it'll be his major league debut. Cardinals, to make room for Hadley, put Jordan Walden on the 60-day DL, but that does not affect his timetable in terms of coming back and joining the club.
Hadley did impress in spring training.
Sure did.
Threw hard. Was a Cub minor leaguer for 8 years, and the Cardinals gave him a chance, invited him to spring training, and he looked very, very good. Big guy, threw hard. And nice to be a big leaguer, isn't it? Good numbers in AAA, but this is the place to play.
Scruggs will take it, playing well off the line at first base. 2 down. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag. Make sure you have a huge piece of paper and hopefully a pen that writes, because it's a long hashtag. MW Data Strong Fan. And with that, you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. And a strike to Melky Cabrera.
You're kind of the hashtag expert, aren't you?
I'm reading it. MW Data Strong Fan.
I like yours on your Twitter. Scoops.
Just bringing the scoops to the people. It's what you have to do with a big Twitter account, that following of millions.
At Danny Mac TV, you'll find out tweets that Dan will occasionally do, like, there's going to be a major league game tonight in St. Louis at Scoops. Am I right?
That's pretty much it. I'm beating everybody to the punch. And your Twitter handle is?
Ricky H49.
Do you tweet often?
Not as often as you do. I'm too busy reading yours.
Or judging mine. Anyway, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Not going to argue with that.
But the question right now is, you know, you look at Lance Lynn, he's at 98 pitches. Let's say he gets out of this inning right around 100. Lynn is due up third. Would you stretch him out for the 6th then?
I think that's a question you could go either way with. I wouldn't. I mean, I think once you get to 100 pitches in 5 innings, you know, he's labored some. You trust your bullpen, too. I think, you know, off day yesterday, you know, why not go to your bullpen? That's what they're out there for.
First walk issued by Lance Lynn. And it brings in Garcia, who has struck out and also has an infield hit.
You're getting to the end of your line. If you're Lance Lynn, don't make a mistake. And that's another thing that happens after 100 pitches. There are times where your effectiveness goes down a bit.
Into right field, there's Jason Hayward. He puts it away. Midway through 5 in a 1-1 game. tonight. One of those a home run from Randall Grichuk. Best record in home series. The Cardinals only one loss in the terms of series at home. That's it. 11-1-0. Then you see Baltimore. They're starting to play very good baseball. And that pitch taken for a ball by Xavier Scruggs. Scruggs, Cosma, and then the pitcher spot is due up. Nobody throwing in the Cardinals' pen. Scruggs struck out his first time up. Lynn has grabbed a helmet, and there's your answer. He'll be coming out, it looks like, for the 6th. Depending on what happens here with Scruggs and Cosma.
Be a little bit down right now if you're the White Sox, aren't you? After kind of getting a lead with Sale, you think maybe game's over, and that long home run by Grichuk, I just think might give them that feeling, uh-oh, here we go again with Sale on the mound. And this Cardinal team does seem to know what they're doing.
A lot to be said with the fact that these players have been there before. They don't scare. They've been in pressure games. You think about what it's like late in games as Scruggs strikes out. The team has been there. Well, he's closing in on 10 strikeouts, and that's 8 tonight for Chris Sale. I like your key to the game. Get to the bullpen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm liking it more and more now.
So this question about Lance Lynn hitting for himself or not, we'd prefer to be having that conversation about Chris Sale. Does he hit or not? Well, that's coming up in 5 batters for Chicago, and that could be a dicey question for them. Now, Sale.
The answer will be no.
Well, right.
He'll be out there.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Now, if he's got 9 strikeouts and he's down 2-1, and you got 2 guys on base with 2 outs.
Swings the bat okay. He was robbed by Xavier Scruggs. He has a base hit. I'm going with Chris Sale.
I think I'd be right with you. I'm just saying I'm sure it's going to be a question for Robin Ventura.
You definitely think about it. Look at that late action there by Sale on that slider. Career in interleague, he's 4-0. Opponents hitting 171. Nearly 11 strikeouts per 9. Here's an 0-2 to Cosma.
Can you think of a left-hander that throws like Chris Sale?
No.
So isn't it natural that interleague play would be something that he might dominate it?
Yeah.
You think about comparables. You'd say, well, okay, we're going to face this guy. He's like that guy. Well, I don't think teams have that advantage when they face Sale, and they're not used to seeing a guy like that.
Cosma base hit into center field. A pitch that's up. What's on Tap is presented by Budweiser. Quintana, he's 3-7 against John Lackey, 6-4. Will come your way tomorrow at 6:30 with the pregame show. Our Budweiser What's on Tap. Think about the bench tonight for the Cardinals too. Carpenter, Wong, Jay, Craig Garcia from the left side, Tony Cruz from the right side. Lynn will try to move Cosma up to second base. Gets the bunt down, only plays to go to the bag at first, and Lance Lynn advances Cosma into scoring position.
I think when a guy's hard to hit, he's also hard to bunt. The ball's moving, if it's got great velocity, just as difficult to square it up on a bunt attempt as it is to swing away and try to make contact. Nice job, Lance Lynn.
Outside of the Grichuk home run, this is the first Cardinal to reach second base. Peter Borges has popped out to second and struck out back in the third. Room to the right side. I was thinking about that earlier, Rick. Just in terms of watching Sale, who's a guy that is anywhere close to this, and there's really nobody I can think of. I mean, the body type, how hard he throws, the stuff that he has. See Garcia and right, very, very shallow.
That's crazy shallow in right field. Garcia must have some good speed. We talked about his speed already, but he has given up a lot of area behind him, and Borges is a guy that's got a little pop in his bat. They're really shallow in all outfield positions, and I think the White Sox are just saying, on a base hit, Pete Kozma's not scoring.
0-2. You can see where these right-handed hitters give up on that slider. The late action, catching the outside portion of the plate. .340 at home this year for Peter Borges, trying to break a 1-1 tie here at Busch Stadium. And a 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
There aren't many teams that use this kind of strategy here that the White Sox are using, but I think a strong case can be made for it making a lot of sense. If a guy's going to hit a ball hard over your head, tip your cap to him, he deserves it. But make him get a double more than just a single to score that run. And if you're in close enough, you are saying, I think I can have a shot at throwing out Pete Kozma, who does run well.
That ball gets over Garcia's head. You know, Borges is in a different league with his speed. You know, you're thinking 3 probably. But everybody else, you're talking double,
but
more than likely.
But make him hit the triple or the double instead of a little ground ball to right, and we lose 2-1.
Sure. The 2-2. Well, Busch Stadium is ready to erupt. Well over 40,000 here tonight. A packed house. White Sox in town. One of the game's best on the mound. A 1-1 game. 2-2 the count. And a strikeout of Borges. 9 tonight for Chris Sale. Jim Hayes. I'm Dan McLaughlin. All-Star Game is coming up Tuesday, July 14th. And you'll see it exclusively on Fox's coverage begins at 6. So Lance Lynn, we get the answer to our question. Would he be back out for the 6th inning? Here he is. And he'll get Gillespie, Ramirez, and Flowers. Gillespie is 2 for 2 with a pair of singles.
Also got some great information from a gentleman that we've been celebrating all year, talking about the 1985 Cardinals team, Vince Coleman, who is now working as a base running coach with the Chicago White Sox, and he does a terrific job of that. And Vince just texted me that Sale reminds him of John Candelaria, if you remember that former pitcher for the Pirates. Very similar delivery. Of course, he's not a current pitcher, but I see that. And good to hear from Vince. We miss him.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. Hit out of play. I've had many people tweet at me, and they say that Sale reminds them of Randy Johnson.
I see that a little.
You can see the arm angle.
Yeah.
Left-hander. Slings it a little bit like Randy did.
Candelaria once in Pittsburgh yelled at Tom Herr, who's here at the ballpark. We've already shown him. He yelled at him, "Tom Herr, I'm going to hit you in the middle of the back." And he did. Ooh. And he didn't get tossed for doing that.
Umpire heard it. Everybody knew what was going on.
There were only about 5,000 people at the ballpark that day. Everybody heard it. Tom had broken up a play at second base hard. So John Candelaria announced to him and everyone that he was going to hit him in the back, and he did.
2-2.
I wouldn't want to get hit in the middle of the back by a Chris Sale pitch.
No, sir. I don't think I want to get hit in the back by anybody. Even you, Rick. I mean, you threw hard enough.
Wait a minute.
Come on.
Wait a minute. Did you say even me?
Hey, I caught you at fantasy camp.
Yes, you did.
I saw the wicked velocity that you have.
Highlight of my life.
Or lack thereof. Three and 2 the count on Connor Gillespie. And a ground ball that's hit to second. Taken there by Cosmo. Remember, this Friday night, the fireworks night presented by Cooper Tires, also the 82 World Series Championship replica ring. That's this Friday. But don't forget, great seats Saturday and Sunday. Friday nearly sold out, but a lot of seats remain for Saturday and Sunday at Cardinals.com/promotions. Engine number 42, the wall here at Busch Stadium, Bruce Sutter. Alexi Ramirez.
Lynn's given this extra innings, but it's not without a limit to it. Mike Matheny has in his mind, and so does Derek Lilliquist, what a pitch count might be in this inning or how many guys on base before they go and get him. And I think part of where he is in the order towards the lower half maybe contributed to the decision to leave him in, plus the fact that he was in a bunting situation with Cosmo board.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ramirez has reached on an error and struck out. And he hits that out of play. Randy Choate getting loose. There's Seth Maness. Seems like one is always up. You know, I mean, you've got the lefty Choate, can be always used, and seems like that is the case with Seth Maness from the right side. If there's anybody you don't really worry about in terms of pitches thrown in a game, in my mind at least, it's the guy on the mound, and that's Lance Lynn.
That's true. Especially when he's right. Now, if he's off a bit with his delivery, and that's true with any pitcher, you might use a different number.
That's strikeout number 6 tonight.
Lance has that explosive fastball that can go a lot of different directions. When it's up in the zone, it rides and it hops a little bit, but he can also sink it.
If you're wondering, the most pitches in a game this year for Lance Lynn has been 119. He did that twice against Detroit and against Milwaukee. Fastball taken away by Tyler Flowers. Came up with the bases loaded, nobody out, and struck out back in the second inning. The inning which the White Sox would not score. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's also singled to center field.
There's the view of Jason Hayward.
One and two.
It's also the way Cardinal relievers watch the game.
One-two pitch taken in the dirt, evens it up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pitch count up to 116. And again, the most in a game for Lynn this year, 119. The 2-2. Popped up, Scruggs. Lynn battles through 6 innings here tonight. This game is tied. It's 1-1. White Sox here in game 1 of this brief 2-game set, and the Padres in town for 4 here at Busch Stadium. Lone run for the Cardinals off the bat of Randal Grichuk, a solo home run that hit into Big Mac land. That was in the 4th inning. Always find it interesting, and you can speak to this, but how a pitcher approaches the next at bat after the home run. You know, what happens now with Grichuk?
Well, you've learned maybe a danger area, but the competitor in you says, if I throw my best pitch and that same pitch, he's still not going to hit it. So you're balancing those two things. You have a lesson learned.
Again, a pitch that was down, and look how deep Cabrera was playing in left field. Grichuk on his way to second, sliding in safely. A double for Randal Grichuk.
So Danny Cabrera is playing with his back up against the wall, so this single to straightaway left field where Cabrera doesn't really have to move too much laterally. By the time he gets to it and gets it in, it's a double. Terrific base running and instinct by Randal Grichuk, and another ball hit hard off of Chris Sale.
If you're Sale, you're sitting there saying to yourself, that can't happen.
No, that can't. It's got to be a single, not a double.
I mean, he was playing very deep, but still.
And the ball was hit hard.
Very hard. That just can't happen. But it did. So it's a double for Grichuk, and now Peralta. See him trying to go to right. And again, Garcia, the right fielder, very shallow. And a big gap in left center. White Sox are getting a little bit of everything from Randal Grichuk here tonight. The power and the speed. Here's a 1-1. .75 pitches for Sale. No activity in the Chicago bullpen. And a 2-1 pitch to Johnny Peralta. There it is, that late action to a right-handed hitter.
So the Cardinals have their 300 hitter up. He leads in home runs and RBIs in the club, but I still think it's an opportunity for him to move the runner over. I think you're still thinking that if you're Johnny Peralta. Hit the ball to the right side somehow.
And a strikeout of Peralta, and that is number 10 for Sale. 10 strikeouts now. 8 straight. Baseball, a part of history, and they just threw it out into the White Sox dugout. And to think that only 2 have done this in the history of the game, Sale and now Pedro Martinez, it's a remarkable accomplishment for this left-hander. So 10 strikeouts tonight. Here's Reynolds, and a check on the runner at second base, and that's Grichuk. That's the thing about Grichuk. He's liable to sweep a bag on you if you're not paying attention. Inside to Reynolds, who singled center field back in the second inning and has also struck out. And that was in the fourth. Fastball and a strike. 1-1. That pitch at 95. So Sale still throwing very hard. Tried to backhand it. Hit to second. There's Sanchez. That's what Peralta wanted to do. And now there's 2 down. And the batter will be Jason Hayward.
But Dan, you mentioned it earlier that Jason Hayward has one of the best averages lefty on lefty in baseball this season. Was not a strong point for him a year ago with the Atlanta Braves. So at least that draws some conversation and attention on the mound about what to do with Jason Hayward here. He had that hard line drive to center in the second inning. Sale walked him in the fourth inning. And he is one of the Cardinals' hottest hitters, to be sure. Going to finish June over 320.
Pitch inside for ball 1. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Good breaking ball, drops in for a strike, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Right fielder Garcia, plenty deep for Hayward. In on his hands, and it's 1-2.
Might expect to see that nasty slider here, but you don't want to guess wrong and get 97 up in your eyes either.
Jason Hayward hitting .476 this month with runners in scoring position. He pulled that foul. He's 10 for 21 this month, and a chance to do some damage here.
Flowers wanted the ball up in the air, up in the zone, but he didn't get it up there. Trying to get Hayward to chase, but that was about letter high or below.
This inning saw the 13th extra base hit of June for Randal Grichuk, but stranded. And Chris Sale, a little history tonight. 8 consecutive games of 10 or more strikeouts. He's racked up 11 against St. Louis. All season long, even at the last minute, even if the game is sold out. It's StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the St. Louis Cardinals. Randy Choate into the ball game for St. Louis, and a good one here at Busch Stadium, top of the 7th, and a 1-1 score. It's a missed opportunity against Sale for the Cardinals with that leadoff double.
And you don't get many of them, and not getting the runner over was the worst part from the Cardinals' point of view. And again, it's not simple to do that against Sale. He's got some weapons for you. Randy Choate, been a very valuable member of this Cardinals bullpen. He's been tough on lefties. And I think he's been used in a way that just absolutely works for the Cardinals' benefit and his, against the right part of the order on the right day. He's been busy this year.
So Carlos Sanchez, who's bounced into a double play and popped out to third, will be the hitter here. Then Sale, and then Eaton. You know, sometimes you'll see Mike Matheny only use Randy Choate to come in and face a lefty, and you don't see him start an inning an awful lot because teams will counter knowing this. But in this case, Mike going with this lefty righty matchup to begin the 7th.
I think understanding that you've got the left-handers to follow, he's still a good choice here. And with Sanchez as a switch hitter, I think it still makes sense to use Randy here. You kind of use him in limited situations where the lefty can beat you. And I think the guy you're most worried about really of the lefties here would be not Sanchez, the switch hitter, or Sale, the pitcher, but Eaton at the top of the order. Hasn't had a good night, but he can hurt you.
And another reason you do this with the switch hitter, he's 3 for 26 from this side of the plate. Chops it off the plate. Choate steps and throws. One away. Team store here at the ballpark.
With Tom Herr here at the ballpark, I wonder where you buy the seat cushion.
Seat cushion night with Tom Herr. One of the great nights.
Classic, isn't it?
Sure was. I was there that night.
Wasn't that fun?
It was awesome. It was great.
Both scary and fun.
I was having fun.
Oh, man.
I know you were too. A strike to Chris Sale. Randy Choate is Arsenal. Presented by Hyundai.
A lot of times you'll talk about a lefty being a sinker slider guy. Well, that's what Randy Choate is. Not a lot of complication in the signs from Yadier Molina.
Nope.
1 or 2.
36th appearance for Randy Choate. That's tops on the team. And a strikeout. His first tonight. Let's give some credit here to tonight's starter, Lance Lynn. Mentioned it's kind of gutting through the performance this evening. Was 6 innings of 1-run baseball, and there's Seth Maness up for the second time. But he really got through that, and it wasn't easy for Lance Lynn tonight.
Yeah, and it's not that he was pitching poorly. We're not saying that, but the pitch count got elevated so early, and really the White Sox made him work, and the work paid off, and he worked effectively. He only gave up 6 hits and a walk, so it's not like they were hitting him around or he was having trouble with too many base runners. But again, the elevated pitch count, and tough to match Chris Sale, but he did it.
6 strikeouts, 6 hits allowed. Eaton is 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. Lynn only walked 1. Its second at bat was a tough one for Lynn. Eaton and Lynn hooked up 13 pitches back in the 3rd inning. Chopped left side and a foul ball. One ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs in a 1-1 game here at Busch Stadium. Outfield very shallow. At the 0 ERA. 14 appearances at home for Randy Choate. And the count runs to 3-2. Abreu is on deck, so one way or another. Final batter right here for Randy Choate. And he struck him out. 2 strikeouts in the inning. White Sox go 1-2-3. It's time to stretch. A lot of strikeouts in this game. That one for Choate. Sale with 11. He's back to the mound when we come back. strikeouts tonight. Abreu is 1 for 3 with an RBI. Lynn 6 innings, and Grichuk 2 for 3, double and a solo home run. Here's Yadier Molina. He'll lead it off, and first pitch taken for a ball.
And Dan, we haven't had a chance to congratulate the U.S. women's soccer team. We were trying to catch glimpses of their 2-0 win against Germany on the pitch, and I know we were enjoying that, and congratulations as they move on. Very exciting for the lady.
I was glued to it. Xavier Scruggs will be the hitter.
I was.
I know you were. Scruggs is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts tonight. So when do they play again? Sunday, okay. Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The highest TV ratings, by the way, for the Women's World Cup right here in St. Louis.
How about that? Well, it's always been certainly it's a baseball town, but St. Louis has always loved its soccer.
Here's a 2-0.
Five o'clock on Sunday, the U.S. women will play the winner of England and Japan. That's 5 o'clock on Fox on Sunday.
3-1. Scruggs with a high fly ball into right center field. Adam Eaton is over to get it. 2 down. I did a show from the Missouri Athletic Club for Fox Sports Midwest, which highlighted Mia Hamm. She was in town to hand out the hardware for what basically is the Heisman Trophy for soccer, collegiate soccer.
Right
so
here
she was
at the
in
MAC. That's right.
To do that, the Herman Award, and she was delightful. I also had worked with Nomar Garcia Parra, so I had an in. That's her husband, for those that don't know. And
you know the whole family.
We lined up an interview, and she was great. Did a whole show around her on Fox Sports Midwest. Very emotional, talking about women's soccer and how far it's come in the United States. She's a big reason why. Cosma has singled to center, and he also struck out. 1 for 2 tonight.
I know a lot of St. Louisans and fans of soccer remember that the women played here at Busch Stadium on the 4th of April against New Zealand in an international friendly, and there are 2 St. Louisans on the World Cup team. Becky Sauerbrunn and Lori Kolupny, both from St. Louis.
And who knows, if a new stadium winds up in St. Louis, the North River front, you may have professional soccer to go along with pro football. You never know. We do know that Dave Peacock is working diligently on behalf of those that want to see football in town and trying to get that stadium approved and built. Time will tell. 3-1 pitch to Cosma. 3-2. Whether you agree with Dave or not, there is no doubting his love for the city and trying to do what he feels is right and best. Ground ball, and that's hit to short. Chris Sale is through 7. Fox Sports Midwest. Across the street we go. Pat Parrish standing by with a Bomberito Sports Update. You can't win. You get,
no, I can't.
You get shots up here from me. With
I get
pitching.
it from across the street, here.
Unfair, isn't it?
On Twitter, doesn't matter. It's okay.
A Chevy call to the pen. Kevin Siegrist, appearance number 38 for the hard-throwing left-hander.
And speaking of speed, Kevin Siegrist has certainly refound his fastball, 95 plus. And it's been fun to watch him kind of get back into that groove again. He did not, frankly, look very good coming out of spring training to me, and I wondered kind of where he was headed, whether they were going to have to find kind of a different role for him until he got right. And I would say, may not be too strong a statement to say he was unimpressed in spring training.
Tinkering with mechanics.
Yeah, that was part of it.
This is Jose Abreu at the plate. He has the only RBI for the White Sox and takes a ball down and end 2-0.
You know, you go from tinkering with your mechanics to long relief sometimes.
Yeah. That's a base hit into left, and the go-ahead run is on here in the top of the 8th. Abreu is 2 for 4.
Like another good fastball down. It's also down and in. But Abreu with the quick hands turns on it.
Melky Cabrera has lined out twice to center field and walked in the 5th. Bunted in the air. Scruggs is there for the out. Third place hitter in a 1-1 game, bunting.
That shows how much their offense has struggled. You look at 3, 4, 5 in this lineup, and that's not your normal 3, 4, 5 in a big league lineup. They're not really their power guys right now. They're not really driving the ball well. But Cabrera certainly has been an average hitter in the past, but that shows how badly they want to try to pick up a run here with Sale on the mound.
Now Garcia, infield hit back in the 2nd. He is struck out and flied out to right. Cardinals have turned one double play tonight. That was back in the 2nd inning. And a fly ball lifted into shallow right, going out. The second baseman tonight, Pete Cosman. He puts it away for out number 2. Connor Gillespie, 2 for 3 tonight with a pair of singles. Looks like they'll pull him back. Gordon Beckham. So Beckham will hit here for Gillespie.
Makes you think soccer again, doesn't it?
Beckham. I think Spice Girls.
Kevin Siegrist is thinking ground ball to short. Let's get a run.
Gordon was traded to the Angels last year for a player to be named later, then became a free agent and re-signed with Chicago. Pitches .221 last season in just over 100 games with the White Sox. .268 in 26 games with the Angels. 0-1 pitch. Now make it 0-2.
We've got a great game going on here, so I don't want to belabor this, but there's trouble brewing in Anaheim with the general manager and the manager outwardly fighting. Jerry Dipoto, Mike Scioscia, players are now involved in it. That could get ugly.
Yeah.
In Anaheim.
Saw those same reports. Here's an 0-2 pitch. Molina sets up outside. The Cardinals have a pinch hitter, and then the top of the lineup coming up with Borges and Grichuk. No activity in the White Sox bullpen. Two and two. Runner at first is Jose Abreu. He's not a threat to steal. A reminder that our next telecast will be tomorrow night. Will come your way at 6:30. Outfield just about straight away. The 2-2.
Tried to pound him in and just missed.
Abreu is off with this pitch. He's the runner at first base. 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. A 1-1 game. Here she comes. And it's hit out of play. Gordon Beckham, first round selection, 8th overall pick back in 2008. Three-two. Got him on the inside corner. Strikeout for Kevin Segrist. White Sox strand a runner. They have left 7 on tonight. Of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Colton Wong will be the pinch hitter for the Cardinals as we start play here in the bottom of the 8th. Sale is still in. And Wong spins away from ball 1. Sale is at 99 pitches. Wong, a ground ball that's pulled foul, and Chris Maloney, cat-like down there in the first base coach's box.
Always was a good fielder. And he's always in a good mood, isn't he?
Always.
Don't you love that about him?
Smiling,
Yeah.
working with the young players. Wong pops it back in foul, and it's now 1-2.
Went down and said hello to many of the White Sox coaches, many of them former teammates. Their bullpen coach is Bobby Thigpen, who was their former closer. Mark Salas at Cardinal is their bullpen catcher.
And Wong with a fly ball into right, late break, but the catch will be made. You may be wondering why Colton Wong in this spot, and this may be part of the equation, but in late inning pressure at bats, and yes, they do have a stat for this, he is 4th best in the National League. That's 7th inning or later with your team tied or trailing. And he's had good numbers, 15 for 37 in that spot.
I think the question arises in your mind, it's a good place for Matt Carpenter too in terms of leading off an inning. Of course, that's what Colton's been doing, leading off. So I think both good choices. And really tough assignments when you're talking about pinch hitting against a guy like Chris Sale, especially from the left side. There's 2 other left-handed choices, and we may see them before it's over. I think you may be assuming here that with Wong pinch hitting and hitting right in front of Cosma, that you leave Wong in the game to play second base, assuming that you're not going to be facing a lefty the next time through the lineup. So you make that the pitcher spot.
And on the other side, the Cardinals are out of lefties in terms of their relievers. Strike to Borges. Cardinals used Lynn for 6. Randy Choate in the 7th, and moments ago it was Segrist in the top of the 8th.
I wish Chicago was out of lefties, including the one that's still out there.
Zach Duke fights it off into center field, drops in for a base hit.
Delivery of Sale, tremendous arm speed, which is where the velocity comes from, and Borges somehow keeping his hands inside the ball, fighting that off into center.
Peter Borges with 4 steals this year. He has been caught 6 times. Runner at first is Borges, and here's Randall Grichuk, who's had a good night. Grichuk with a homer back in the 4th to tie the game up. A leadoff double in the 6th and was left stranded. One pitch. 0-2. One-run games in June. Cardinals in 10 games, 10 one-run games are 7-3. White Sox have played in 12. To the count on Randall Grichuk. Into center field. 3-hit night for Grichuk. He's now a triple away from the cycle against Chris Sale. An 0-2 mistake.
Somebody forgot to tell Randall Grichuk how good Chris Sale is. And maybe that's okay. Those are 3 really good swings against a tough lefty.
Great speed on the bases for the Cardinals. With a quick bat here. Bam, one into center.
Short stroke. Quick hands.
Fifth career 3-hit game for Randal Grichuk. And now Johnny Peralta. Remember, Peralta came up after the leadoff double by Grichuk in the 6th and couldn't drive him in or advance him to third. Wound up being the 10th strikeout for Chris Sale, who has struck out 11 tonight. Has not struck out a man since back in the 6th. .110 pitches for Sale. You're right, Rick. They're trying any way to get him a win. First and second. And Peralta lines it foul. Will this find the seats? Tough play, and it will be dropped. Abreu is there, Garcia there, Sanchez as well, and we'll see if Abreu is shook up here.
Looking like something might have hit him in the eye. You wonder if the ball popped up and hit him or if he ran into one of his teammates. We'll have to check. There's the ball and there's the glove right to the face. Garcia charging in from right, Abreu coming in from first. Ball and face getting there at the same time. Herm Schneider has been the trainer for the Chicago White Sox since 1879.
It's quite a run he's on.
One of the greatest guys around. Dan, you'd love it. Funny, fun, terrific guy. Terrific trainer, too.
Oh-2 pitch. Ball scoots away, and Borges still at the bag at second.
That's a bad read by Peter Borges. In fact, it was read better by Randal Grichuk at first, who had to backtrack. He got a better jump on that. I'm not sure Borges saw that very well. Ball's in the dirt, unsure, and by the time he decided to go, it was too late. Grichuk, on the other hand, sees it, but then picks up the fact that Grichuk, or Borges in front of him, is not going, so he's got to retreat back in a hurry. That could be a big miss here, them not being on second and third.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Peralta. And a strikeout. Sale with 12 tonight. He's now at 114 pitches. The most pitches this season, 125 at Tampa Bay. His career high, if you're wondering, 127. We mentioned earlier, too, Rick, that he can reach back and get a little extra on it if he needs to, and he did there.
Nice to have in the bottom of the 8th inning with a couple runners aboard, isn't it?
This guy is something, isn't he? If you're a baseball fan, he's fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. We understand not every baseball fan likes a 1-1 game. I love them because of the strategy involved. Some people like 10-9 games. Others just want their home team to win by as many runs as possible, and that's what they're looking for. 10-0 game's fun. I like the 1-1 in the bottom of the 8th. Game on the line, go-ahead run at second base, outfield. Can they throw him out at the plate?
0-1 is lifted into center field. Adam Eaton is there. They stay with Sale, and the move pays off. We're tied up 1-1 as we head to the ninth. Look at the hit speeds. 97.5, 99.8, 100.2 miles per hour off the bat of Randal Grichuk tonight. And that's against Chris Sale, one of the best in the business. What a performance tonight by him. Cardinals have had Lynn, Choate, Segrist, and now Rosenthal.
I think it's fair to say that Trevor Rosenthal, now entering the game in the ninth inning, has been one of the best of the business as far as the ninth inning and beyond is concerned. He's really had an outstanding season. The ERA is minuscule, and he's been pounding the strike zone a lot better than he did a year ago.
Fastball misses at 95. He has simplified his motion towards the plate. We've talked about that. Not seeing him use quite as much, and certainly not seeing him in 3 consecutive games. Peralta quickly to first and gets Alexei.
Did you step on something?
No. When I hear the hawk, Ken Harrelson.
Oh, I see.
Alexei.
I like it how that just comes out naturally.
Thank you. Just making sure you're paying attention.
Yeah, I don't always understand it, but I love it. I guess that's a good thing.
Thank you. The check swing, and he went. This is Tyler Flowers with 1 out and nobody on. This is our Chevy call to the pen. So he's had 1 blown save this year. The minuscule ERA of .52. And I would think he's on his way to the All-Star game.
I would think so. I like the walk strikeout ratio better than a year ago. And you've talked about him simplifying his delivery by going out of the stretch. I also think he's calmed down his lower half a little bit. He's very strong. Lower half. His legs are, I mean, they're just tree trunks. They are so strong, but he can be too quick with them at times. And I think that throws off his upper half.
Colton Long, who stayed in the game, puts that away.
Lifting up your leg in pitching is a little bit like your backswing in golf. If you do it too quickly, you can create some problems down the road. Nice and easy, then finish strong. Same thing with picking up your leg. Pick up your leg easy, stay back, stay on top, downhill, throw 97. Sounds simple, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Got Jordan Spieth next to me. How good is he, by the way?
Hardly. Oh, terrific. Fun to watch.
Yeah. 0-1 pitch. And a line drive base hit off the bat of Carlos Sanchez. Here's Adam LaRoche. Signed a 2-year deal. And he comes over from the Washington Nationals. Remember Ryan Zimmerman moving from third base to first base, so LaRoche out in Washington. This season he does have 9 home runs, hitting just .233. Always a slow starter, but
yes,
by the end of the year you'll look up and the numbers will be very good.
2 things I think about when I think about LaRoche: good fielder and streaky hitter. Just hope
that's right.
You just hope you're catching him at the right time.
Right.
Rosenthal has caught him at the right time. 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts so far.
Wong is on the outfield grass. A 1-0 pitch. Changeup taken outside. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. The Cardinals have Hayward, Molina, and Scruggs looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th. Taken low, 3-0.
That's a thinking man's conversation right there, knowing Yadier Molina, and he understands the moment. And there's a message conveyed there. You've got certainly a 3-0 count. The question is LaRoche swinging at this pitch? Do you just give in to him? Do you just throw a strike? And how do we feel about facing the next hitter? And there may be some mechanics in that, but I doubt it. I think it's more about how they want to go at LaRoche.
And he walked him. So the go-ahead run now in scoring position. Trevor got the first 2 and then a walk, or rather the base hit, and now a walk. And so runners at first and second. And here's Adam Eaton. You always think about the outfield arms at this point. Grichuk, good one. Borges, a good one. Hayward, tremendous. And they're not playing very deep. You may have one of those plays at the plate. And the 0-1 pitch. Now 0-2. And here comes the crowd again. Got him. A chance to win it. when we come back. By Budweiser, make a plan to make it home. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Randall Grichuk, 3 for 4 tonight. The rest of the team is 3 for 26 with 11 strikeouts. Jake Petricka is into the ball game, a right-hander, so Sale is out. As we move to the bottom of the ninth in a 1-1 tie, the Cardinals will have Hayward, Molina, and Xavier Scruggs. Here are the numbers on this right-hander. A Chevy called to the pen. And remember, still on the bench, Carpenter, Jay, and Garcia. Tony Cruz from the right side. Hayward tonight is lined out to center, walked in the 4th, and struck out back in the 6th. Chris Sale struck out 12 tonight. The bullpen has done a terrific job for St. Louis in relief of Lance Lynn. First pitch to Hayward. Inside. Bullpen of the Cardinals began with Randy Choate in the 7th, scoreless inning. Segrist in the 8th, and then Trevor Rosenthal moments ago in the top of the 9th. Here's a 1-0. Garcia in right field playing about as deep as you can. He's about 4 or 5 steps in front of the warning track in right field. Here's a 1-1. Hayward bounces it to second base.
Numbers for Petricka at home, 1.93 ERA, not as good on the road. Cardinals hoping that that trend continues. And the fun of a 1-1 game is one swing of the bat, one pitch, one hanger, and it's over. You just can't afford to make a mistake.
Here's Yadier Molina. Seth Maness getting loose in the pen. And the first pitch taken for a ball. Molina tonight has struck out, hit into a fielder's choice, and grounded out to third. He's 0 for 3. Now, Chris Sale spent most of spring training recovering from a fractured bone in his left foot. Missed most of that, but boy, has he come out throwing the ball well here in 2015. 12 strikeouts tonight. And now time is called. Here's a 1-1. Bounce too short. Alexi Ramirez puts it away. Chris Sale now, Rick, in his last 76 innings, has struck out 115. He had 1 walk tonight, and he's given the opposition just 12 walks in those 76 innings.
I can think of 3 balls that were hit hard, and Randall Grichuk had all of them. Borges had a nice looping liner to center field. Pete Kozma hit the ball hard in the 5th inning, but not much beyond that.
2 outs, nobody on. Xavier Scruggs. Well, you think about when the Cardinals in Philadelphia called up Scruggs and Garcia, they have gotten production from these two.
Perfect timing for both of them.
Yes. Here's an 0-1 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. If we get to the 10th, it'll be Abreu, Cabrera, and Garcia coming up for the White Sox. 1-2 the count on Xavier Scruggs. Called 3rd strike, and we have extra innings coming up in game 1 of this 2-game series. 1-1 our score. Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. Well, we've seen a ton of strikeouts, and this is how we got here to the 10th. That ball off the bag led to a run to score Chris Sale, then Randall Grichuk. Long home run. This baby wound up bouncing into and out of Big Mac land. And a handshake from Jose. So there we go. It's 1-1. Seth Maness takes over for St. Louis.
You went into your old-time announcer voice there, didn't you?
I most certainly did, Rich. Richard.
It's Rick, but
Rick. Yeah, I forgot. All right.
Thanks for doing that. I guess you're celebrating some extra frames there.
Just making sure you're paying attention.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm on your every word.
10th time the Cardinals have gone into extra innings this year. 1-1 our score. And here's Jose Abreu. Abreu with 2 hits tonight, both singles, and it was Abreu single off the bag in the 3rd that led to the lone run for the White Sox tonight. He chops that foul.
You know, Dan, the mark of a good bullpen is when the next name is called. As a fan of that team, you don't say, "Uh-oh, here we are." Cardinals just have one guy after another that you're anxious to see. Seth Maness, 38 relief appearances. He's been very busy, but he's been extremely effective too.
Choate, Segrist, Rosenthal, now Maness. Collectively, the pitchers tonight for the Cardinals have racked up 10 strikeouts. Collectively, the pitchers of the Cardinals tonight have racked up 11 strikeouts. But this guy right now, I'm telling you what, you think about unsung heroes along the way.
Yeah.
This is one of them right here. He is so valuable coming out of the pen.
He pitches in a lot of different ways. He's certainly the double play specialist. That's kind of what we think of first. But he's a guy that can be a setup guy at times. He's been the closer at times. He's also been the extended innings guy. When you need a guy to go more than one inning, we may see him in a couple innings tonight. He kind of has that type of arm, I think, where he can throw often. He was a minor league starter. He had gaudy numbers as a starter. Not so much on the strikeout side, but on the lack of walks per 9 innings. Just a ridiculous number.
It's carried over to the big leagues, too. Little squibber tough play here for Reynolds. Oh, what a play. Mark Reynolds to Scruggs for out number 2. The former everyday third baseman, when he first came up to the big leagues, comes up with a dandy here.
Been comfortable there. That one called for the bare hand. And spinning a bit, too, so a little maybe tougher than it looked.
That's a good play.
Think about that ball hitting off the end of the bat, kind of squibbing down the third base line. Could have easily booted that.
Here's Garcia, a single back in the 2nd inning. That was an infield hit. He has struck out, flied out to right, and popped out. One and 2 the count. Cardinals have Maness' spot. Wong and Peter Borges coming up. Still on the bench for St. Louis, Matt Carpenter.
Maness has a very good changeup this inning. He's thrown it.
Notice that too.
3 or 4 times already. He got the strikeout with it to Abreu. That last pitch there, the ball's just dipping at the last second.
And a strikeout. Seth Maness comes in. White Sox go 1-2-3. He strikes out 2. Nice work by Maness. 1-1 in the bottom of the 10th. And Matt Carpenter will lead things off, followed by Colton Wong, and then we'll see Peter Borges. Petricka will work in his second inning.
And the Cardinal fans happy to see Matt Carpenter step to the plate. And interesting that you've got the reverse of the batting order that we saw at the beginning of the season for the bottom of the 10th. Carpenter followed by Wong.
Zach Duke will come in, the lone lefty in the pen for the Chicago White Sox. Zach Duke, Matt Carpenter. Our Chevy call to the pen when we come back. Lone lefty in the pen for the White Sox is in, and he'll get Matt Carpenter in a 1-1 game. Duke this season, our Chevy called to the pen, 35 appearances. This crowd, as Rick mentioned, excited for the first appearance of the night for number 13. He's 4 for 8 against this lefty. First pitch to Carpenter, taken for a strike. Zach Duke's been around a long time. Came up with the Pirates back in 2005. He was a starter back then. He's been with Arizona, Washington, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and now the Chicago White Sox. Best season was in 2009 when he was an all-star with Pittsburgh. Out of Midway High School in Waco, Texas. 20th round selection for the Pirates. Here's a 1-1. Incredible number for Matt Carpenter. He has 72 hits this year. 41 of the 72 have come with 2 strikes. Here's a 2-1 pitch.
Right fielder Garcia is playing right center field. Totally giving him the line. I understand bunching the gap, and that's what you'll do to keep hitters from getting doubles, but he is so far in right center, and the assumption, I guess, from the White Sox point of view is that Carpenter's not going to pull the ball down the line.
3-1 pitch. The only other major league player that has the kind of numbers that Carpenter's put up with 2 strikes, Jose Iglesias. He's the only other player that's got over half his hits coming with 2 strikes.
It's a guy that's comfortable at the plate and comfortable when he's deep in counts.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Fought off by Carpenter.
Duke's one of those guys, Dan, that has really extended his career by learning to pitch out of the bullpen. And you talked about his early years with the Pirates, and he was really he had all the pitches to be a starting pitcher, and he was good and okay, and as you mentioned, an all-star. But to extend his career and to keep it going, he's learned to adapt to being that left-handed guy that can just get key lefties out. He drops down occasionally, but we've seen that already.
Like that, but doesn't get the call. Winning run is on for St. Louis. Leadoff walk by Carpenter.
This doesn't miss by much. That's the eye of Matt Carpenter at work.
The uncanny ability to allow the ball to get deep on him. Now Colton Wong, third baseman. Beckham is playing in. Room to that left side of the infield, and a check on Matt Carpenter.
Really a check on Colton Wong, whether or not he's bunting or not. And the idea with the lefty is if you get that move and fake the batter into thinking that you're coming home, you can get him to indicate whether or not he's sacrificing or not to give the defense a little bit of a heads up. And they have to guard against it either way.
Popped up left side. Beckham near the seats and out of room. Wong was a pinch hitter back in the 8th inning and flied out to right. 0-1 pitch. Broken bat, slowly hit. Carpenter will advance to second base.
There's your bunt.
Winning run in scoring position. Peter Borges last September an RBI single to win it against the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has 2 career walk-off hits. And now they want to talk things over here with Borges. Randall Grichuk waits on deck. Will we even see him? Robin Ventura, the slow walk, and he will go to his right-hander, Daniel Webb. Borges, game on the line when we come back. 11 hits, but no runs.
John Jay will hit for Peter Borges, and doesn't that just make you want to shout?
Well, the chess match going on right now is John Jay will pinch hit for Peter Borges to face Daniel Webb. On the bench now left for St. Louis, Greg Garcia and Tony Cruz. Winning run at second base. We're in the 10th. That's Carpenter at second. Here's John Jay off the bench. First pitch to him. Taken high.
They're working hard in the middle of the infield with Alexi Ramirez to keep Matt Carpenter very close. In fact, he's just a couple of steps behind him. Probably works well with how they would play John Jay defensively, but that's an important part of this.
1-0 pitch is hit to short. Ramirez, oh, he almost threw it away, and Beckham gets Carpenter in a rundown. Now Jay needs to get to second base, and he does. What a pick by Gordon Beckham as Ramirez nearly threw it away. Good job by Carpenter to stay in that rundown. You question whether or not he should have gone to third in the first place, but he stayed in the rundown, and Jay now in scoring position.
Well, he shouldn't, and what's interesting is the shortstop moved his position behind Matt Carpenter, and maybe he was confused about where he was playing because he was playing about 10 feet to his right before the pitch, and maybe that confused Carpenter a bit, and he thought maybe he could make it to third, but clearly that ball was right at Ramirez, and Beckham with the good hands really saved the day for the White Sox. So the shortstop we talked about was covering at second base, so Carpenter fields him to his left. So by the time the pitch goes, he's about 3 steps to his right, and maybe he thought that ball was going into left field. And still, you typically don't run when the ball's hit in front of you, but that late movement by Ramirez allows him to be in position to get Carpenter.
You wouldn't say this normally this year because of the year that Peralta has had, but you have to question right now if the White Sox are saying, look, you know, you could pitch to Grichuk, but pitch carefully with the way that he's swinging the bat here tonight. And are we better off dealing with Johnny Peralta instead of Randall Grichuk with the runner at second base?
Well, it's almost hard to say that, but I think you have to be thinking that considering the night he's having. Triple away from the cycle, and if he hits the ball in the gap right now, he's not going to get that triple. That would be a shame, wouldn't it?
Oh, wouldn't that be something? The way to end this game potentially?
But you can't call it a triple. You just call it a single. So
yeah,
that's not fair, Dan.
Not fair.
Write your congressman.
All right, let me get that.
First pitch to Grichuk. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Randall.
And the White Sox did not really handle that rundown very well with Matt Carpenter either. The low throw was part of it, but that allowed John Jay to get right back into that scoring position with the game on the line.
2 outs and a 1-1 pitch. Grichuk pops it up. And this ball will get out of play. One ball, 2 strikes. Grichuk with a home run into Big Mac land in the 4th. A double to left field in the 6th. And he singled to center on an 0-2 pitch. And that was in the 8th. All those hits off of Chris Sale. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Grichuk. Up and in.
Dangerously close to getting Randal Grichuk. Players don't like that. I don't blame them.
The 2-2. Grichuk hits it sharply to short, taken there by Ramirez. We head to the 11th. Chicago 1, St. Louis 1. All season long, Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. A 1-1 game. White Sox with 8 hits. They have stranded 9 tonight. The Cardinals with 6 hits. They have stranded 7. John Jay stays at the game in center field. And Sokolovich will take over. He'll be in the 8th spot in the lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, tonight some history made for Chris Sale, so we'll give him our Budweiser player of the game. 8 innings, the 12 strikeouts, and a career start number 100. It is historic. 10 or more strikeouts in 8 straight games. And he was good here tonight.
Phenomenal accomplishment.
Gordon Beckham leads it off against Sokolovich, who possesses what we've seen as a very good changeup.
Really been his out pitch. We saw a good changeup from Seth Maness, the 5th Cardinal pitcher here tonight. Sokolovich from Venezuela. Venezuelan ancestry, Polish name.
2-0 pitch. Who knows? Before this game is over, we may see the major league debut of Marcus Hadley. You never know.
I'm betting he's next.
Here's a 2-1 pitch to Gordon Beckham.
Pitcher spot is 8 for the Cardinals, so my other guess would be that Sokolovich would be in line for a couple of innings for Mike Matheny, who has just Carlos Villanueva and Hadley remaining.
Here's a 2-2. Beckham came off the bench tonight. He's a pinch hitter back in the 8th. And with the runner at first, he struck out against Kevin Segrist on a 3-2 pitch. And here's a 3-2 pitch from Miguel Sokolovic. And it's a strikeout to start the top of the 11th. White Sox now have struck out 13 times. Here's Alexi Ramirez. 0 for 4 tonight. Average down to .213. Strike one.
Cardinals were in kind of the market for a shortstop, and they ended up with Johnny Peralta. But one of the names that I heard a lot in that time frame was Alexi Ramirez.
Yep.
They actually had similar numbers. You look at their batting average, at least a few more home runs, I would say, for Peralta, but both of them solid American League shortstops, and we heard Ramirez's name quite a bit as maybe being a Cardinal. They end up with Peralta, and he's been a very nice signing for St. Louis.
0-2 the count with 1 out, nobody on. 1-1 game. White Sox picked up their run in the 3rd. The Cardinals picked up their run in the 4th on a Randal Grichuk home run into Big Mac land. Here's an 0-2 pitch to Alexi Ramirez. Now Molina out to visit. Ball game began with Lance Lynn, 6 innings, Choate in the 7th, Segras the 8th, Rosenthal the 9th, Manus the 10th, and Sokolovic here in the 11th. Here's a 1-2. Ooh, he missed on the inside corner to even it up at 2-2.
Get into extra innings, every little thing you do becomes important. Of course, that's true throughout a 1-1 game, but you can't afford a walk. In extra innings, that's typically asking for trouble.
3-2 pitch. Here it comes. And a fly ball lifted out to left field. Plenty of room. Randal Grichuk is there. Tyler Flowers. Single to center back in the 4th inning. He's lined out, popped out, and struck out. There's strike one.
Are you getting excited about the potential of calling a walk-off Jason Hayward home run?
Sure.
Just wanted you to start thinking about that. I wanted you to be prepared for that. I wanted you kind of to be,
oh yeah,
all over that moment, as I know you will be.
You know, I have a book here of scripted calls, and I'll look to page 86 of that.
Okay.
Let's see here, 86. Hayward in the 11th against. Yeah, I'll get. There it is.
Okay. As long as you're ready.
Here's the 0-2. Hey, you were talking the other day. What's your favorite walk-off? I enjoy the home run. I still do. We had a walk-off on Friday night.
And you like the home run.
Yeah. And you?
I like to play at the plate.
Uh-oh. That's a long one. Out to deep left, and this game now belongs to the White Sox with a lead up 2-1. Flowers, his 6th home run. So the Cardinals will have to come back and try to walk it off in the bottom of the 11th.
Well, if you're Sokolovich facing Tyler Flowers, you're going to live and die with the changeup, which is what he did to the first 2 hitters. He got a strikeout on a changeup, and that pitch is center cut. And Flowers, that's home run number 6. Not a lot of offense here tonight for either team. We've seen a couple of home runs in this game.
There's a changeup and a strike to Carlos Sanchez. Cardinals have Peralta, Reynolds, and Hayward. So the middle of the lineup coming up for St. Louis.
So he tried to sneak that fastball in. Changeup he throws right at 81, 82. It's really a power pitch for him. Well, the Cardinals are going to have to find a way to get it done. We've seen him do it before.
And the closer Robertson gets up, starts throwing for the White Sox. And the 1-2. Call 3rd strike. Strikeout of Sanchez. Flowers with his 6th home run this year. A 2-hit night. And with that, the White Sox go on top as we move to the bottom of the 11th. It's 2-1 Chicago. Bottom of the 11th, and try to do it against a very good right-hander. He was the closer a year ago for the New York Yankees. Signed as a free agent with the White Sox, and that's David Robertson. And this is our Chevy called to the pen.
15 saves this year for Robertson, 39 saves a year ago. He's had an interesting career. He's pitched in World Series with the Yankees. He's been an all-star with the Yankees. Then he became the closer with the Yankees, and now he's over with a team that's been struggling some. He does have 4 blown saves. So Cardinals certainly hoping for number 5 here.
Cardinals with 23 comeback wins this year. Most in the National League, 3 ahead of LA. New York and San Diego both with 18. Robertson from Birmingham, Alabama. First pitch here to Johnny Peralta. '17th round pick back in 2006 by the New York Yankees. Made his major league debut 2008. One ball and 2 strikes.
Peralta may have missed his pitch there. That one looked like it was sitting up on the inner half, and he just didn't quite get the bat head on it. Some South Side fans here at the ballpark tonight.
And a 1-2 pitch to Johnny Peralta. You'll notice the long stride of this right-hander. He drives off the pitching rubber. He has one of the longest strides in all of baseball. The 1-2.
Throws hard, but after watching Chris Sale for 8 innings, seems more gettable, doesn't he?
Yes. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Misses. 3-2. Robertson thought he had strike 3 as he glances back in at the home plate umpire.
It looked like a hard cutter at 91, and it just missed the outside corner. A good call. Got a good strike zone in my mind here tonight. Very good.
A 3-2. Peralta hits it sharply to Ramirez, and it's a catch. The Cardinals pointing from the dugout as if to say that hit the ground. A number of the players were doing that. And it's a line out for the first out. It looks to be a catch.
Yep.
Good call.
And good hands. Mark Reynolds certainly capable of doing what Tyler Flowers did.
One out, nobody on, and a big swing and a miss. Reynolds nearly fell over. Not one to be cheated, is he?
Nope. Especially the first 2 strikes.
Good numbers, 3 for 5 with a pair of home runs off this right-hander. And the 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball again, and he went. First base umpire is Quinn Wolcott. And now Reynolds in the hole, 0-2.
Did he offer? Yeah. I have to say they got that one right.
And the 0-2 pitch to Reynolds. And a strikeout. Well, the final home now for the Cardinals will be Jason Hayward. What we have not seen from Robertson, and he'll occasionally mix this in, is a circle change against lefties. We'll see if that'll be part of this plate appearance here with Jason Hayward. He's got the curveball, which we've seen. You talked about it, Rick, the cutter. He throws hard. Good stuff.
Got a big assortment. We were hoping for it and preparing for a Jason Hayward walk-off home run, but how about a game-tying home run? Dan, you got that call ready.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Jason Hayward. And he lines it into left field. No doubles defense. Drops in front of Melky Cabrera, who quickly gets it back into the infield this time. And it's a base hit.
So incredibly deep in left field. Cabrera playing again. This line drive off the bat of Jason Hayward. Good at bat, good pitch. Another example, the Cardinals, they just don't kind of roll over in late innings, do they? They make it exciting. Yadier Molina can make it even better with a hit here, or even more.
Molina, base hit into left field. Tying run in scoring position. That's Hayward. Isn't this something?
Curveball down middle of the plate. Now time for a conversation on how to pitch Xavier Scruggs.
Xavier Scruggs. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Here in the 11th inning. Cardinals with 8 hits tonight. They have stranded 7. Scruggs a tough evening. Hitless in 4 plate appearances. And a ground ball that is foul. Normal depth now for the outfield. But even Cabrera in left is in a step or 2 as this crowd comes alive. And the 0-1. 0-2 on Xavier Scruggs. Here's an 0-2 pitch to Scruggs. Chops it left side. And this game is over. The White Sox win it. A final in 11, 2-1. And the winning streak comes to a close for the Cardinals. It stops at 6 straight.
Well, the Cardinals made it exciting in the bottom of the 11th, but they just did not have enough for Chris Sale and the White Sox relievers here tonight. And the pitching was terrific again for the Cardinals, but they drop a 1-run game. They've been so good at them all season long, Dan, but just couldn't get it done here in game 1 of this series.
Last 16 games, Tyler Flowers was hitting .240. He connected on this pitch. That sends us to the post-game show. 2-1 Sox.